The universe has two forces, the two M's, that can keep you trapped in a cycle of suffering. If you've ever felt stuck, like no matter what you do, you're spinning your wheels and going nowhere, it's because these two M's are holding you in place. The truth is, until you take the time to understand the fundamental mechanics of how the universe works, you won't have the power to change your reality. And let's be real, that's what we're here to do. Uncover the roots of how the universe operates and figure out your place in it. Now imagine this as the starting point, a beginner's guide to mastering the universe. Before you start chasing shiny distractions, like doing affirmations in the mirror that don't even feel real, or writing lists of fake gratitude in a journal, let's get to the core of how reality works. Those surface-level practices won't mean a thing unless you understand the foundation beneath them. The two M's, a concept, are absolutely crucial if you want to shift your reality. As I always say, spirituality without the ability to reshape your world is just for show. Everything starts with these two M's. But let me warn you, the two M's are no joke. They're powerful and dangerous. If you've ever felt like you're living the same story on repeat, same struggles, same people, same situations, it's because you're caught in the grip of the two M's. These forces can lock you in a cycle, and depending on how they're working in your life, that cycle can feel like heaven or pure hell. Your job is to wake up to their influence and learn how to rewrite them. Awareness is the key. Without it, you're stuck. With it, everything can change. Here's the deal. The two M's create cycles. Your experience of those cycles depends on your awareness and how you interact with them. They can either elevate you to a state of heaven or drag you into hell. And here's the wild part about hell. It can vanish completely the moment you step into heaven. This ties into what Jesus said in Luke 17:21. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The same idea appears in the Gospel of Thomas. I can even show you how to experience heaven without having to die. But let's save that for another day. For now, anytime you feel like your life is stuck on repeat, the first thing to do is acknowledge it. Recognize that you're in a cycle. That awareness is the first step to transformation. It's only through becoming conscious of these patterns that you can begin to break free. These forces can create either heaven or hell for you, depending on how you approach them. And the good news? You have the power to shift them. Let's get into it. Most of us grow up stuck in cycles of struggle and frustration, repeating the same patterns over and over, simply because we don't understand the basic mechanics of how the universe works. This is foundational knowledge. Before you dive into all the different techniques people try to push on you, like this law or that law, or debates about which approach is right or wrong, set all of that aside for now. Ask yourself this: do you really understand the core principles that shape your reality? Chances are you don't. And when I explain them, you'll probably have a moment where it all clicks. Like, oh wow, now that makes sense. It's something you felt deep down but never had the words for. That's why I'm about to break this down for you, step by step, starting with the two M's. The first M, the very first one, is Magnify. Now, let's talk about what Magnify really means. At its core, the universe will magnify whatever you feel. That's it. It's that simple. But don't confuse simplicity with lack of importance. This principle is huge. What you need to understand first is that the way you've been taught to think about your reality, especially in terms of the hierarchy of what's most important, is often backward. A lot of spiritual circles put an overwhelming focus on your thoughts, your mind, your thinking patterns. While thoughts do matter, they're actually secondary when it comes to shaping your reality. The true foundation of your frequency is not your thoughts. It's your emotions. Let that sink in for a moment. Your emotions are the biggest factor, the largest shareholder in determining your frequency. Think about it. How many times have you been told to control your thoughts and then ended up spiraling, overthinking and stressing out because you couldn't stop thinking about something you didn't want to? Sound familiar? That's because you've been conditioned to put your thoughts at the top of the hierarchy. But the truth is, your emotions are even more important. Why? Because emotions are energy in motion. They emit an energetic signature, a vibration. That vibration builds into a frequency, and that frequency matches with a corresponding reality. In other words, your emotional state is like a signal you're constantly sending out into the universe. And the universe responds by reflecting back experiences that match that signal. Now, your emotions are more powerful than you've been led to believe. I need you to really understand this. Your emotions are shaping your reality every single day. Here's an example. Have you ever had a day that started off fine, but then one small thing went wrong? Maybe it wasn't even that big of a deal, but after that, everything else seemed to spiral out of control. One bad thing after another. By the end of the day, you're thinking, how did this turn into such a bad day? Here's what happened. You weren't aware of the first M, Magnify. The universe amplified how you were feeling after that first hiccup. And because you didn't consciously shift your emotional state, that negative energy kept building and snowballing. The universe doesn't judge whether your feelings are good or bad. It just magnifies whatever you're putting out. This is why understanding the role of your emotions is so critical. Once you grasp this concept, you can start to shift your emotional state intentionally, and in turn, change what the universe magnifies in your life. That's the power of the first M, and trust me, this is just the beginning. Let's talk again about the first M of the universe, Magnify. The universe magnifies whatever you feel. How does it do this? Be patient. The universe uses everything at its disposal. Events, circumstances, conditions, and even people to reflect and amplify the energy you're putting out. Here's an example to make it clear. Imagine you're feeling bad. Maybe you're stressed, annoyed, or just low. The universe will take that energy and magnify it, creating situations that make you feel even worse. If you're frustrated, it'll amplify that frustration. If you feel invisible, the universe will create experiences that make you feel even more unseen. The universe doesn't judge your emotions or try to decide what's fair. It simply mirrors and magnifies whatever energy you're radiating. Why does it work this way? Because the universe is a macrocosm of your microcosm. In simple terms, the universe is a reflection of you. It's not separate from you. It's intricately connected to your energy, your thoughts, and most importantly, your emotions. That's why you need to stop thinking of yourself as just a human being reacting to life. Instead, you have to start thinking like a higher consciousness, a creator, or what some might call a god. Now, don't misunderstand what I mean by God. I'm not talking about a personified deity or some egotistical idea of creating your own universe and ruling over it. I'm speaking about the esoteric concept of God, a state of pure impersonal consciousness. This is the highest level of awareness, beyond the illusions of our third-dimensional world, beyond duality and polarity. To fully understand the first M, you need to elevate your thinking to this higher perspective. But here's the challenge. As human beings, we often lack emotional discipline. Our inability to manage our emotions is what keeps us stuck in these cycles of magnification. Let me give you a relatable example. Let's say you wake up feeling great, and your day starts off amazing. Then, something small happens. A delay, a rude driver, or a minor inconvenience. Suddenly, your mood shifts. You feel irritated or upset, and that emotional energy begins to build. At that moment, the universe picks up on the new energy you're emitting. It's like you're broadcasting a new signal. And the longer you stay in that emotional state, the stronger the signal becomes. The universe doesn't hesitate. It immediately begins to magnify that signal. The more time you spend in that negative emotional state, the more momentum builds, and soon you'll start seeing the effects of magnification in your reality. This is why understanding and mastering your emotions is so important. The universe is constantly responding to the signals you send out, and those signals are driven primarily by how you feel. If you want to change what the universe magnifies, you have to take control of your emotional state. That's the key to working with the first M. Let's take this concept and apply it directly to your life. If you feel stressed, the universe will reflect that stress back to you. It will use events, circumstances, conditions, and even people to amplify that feeling. All of a sudden, things and people around you will start adding to your stress. A random situation might come up that intensifies it even more. The same happens if you feel annoyed. The universe will pick up on that annoyance and send more things your way to make you feel even more irritated. It might be people who get under your skin or situations that just seem to pile on. If you feel unseen, the universe will use people to reinforce that feeling. They might ignore you, walk past without acknowledging you, or fail to notice your presence entirely. This applies to any emotion you experience. If you feel guilt, the universe will reflect it back by giving you more things to feel guilty about. It might be something someone says or does, or an event that triggers that emotion. If you feel shame, the universe will respond with people or situations that make you feel even more ashamed. This is what the universe does. It magnifies however you feel. But here's the deeper truth. It's not just magnification, it's reflection. The universe is mirroring back to you the energy you're projecting. Now take a moment to reflect on this. How would your reality change if you started to see yourself as a walking universe? How would you carry yourself differently if you truly believed that everything around you was reflecting you? What would you allow into your life? And what would you let go of? Understanding this principle, this magnification process, which is the first M of the universe, is the starting point of a bigger cycle. When you send out an emotional signal, the universe picks up on it. That signal builds energetic momentum until it becomes visible in your life. At that point, the universe essentially says, "All right, here's something to magnify." And it begins to reflect that energy back to you repeatedly. In the examples I've given so far, I've focused on what we might call survival frequencies. These are emotions like stress, annoyance, guilt, or shame. The kinds of feelings many people experience regularly because of the environments we grow up in and the challenges we face. But this principle doesn't only apply to negative emotions. You can absolutely apply it to positive ones too. For instance, if you feel good, the universe will magnify that goodness. If you feel peaceful, the universe will create conditions, events, and interactions that deepen that sense of peace. If you feel joy, the universe will bring even more joyful experiences into your life. And if you feel love within you, whether for yourself, for others, or for life itself, the universe will reflect that love back. It will use people, events, and circumstances to magnify that love and expand it further. This is why it's so important to take control of your emotional state. Every feeling you hold within you, whether positive or negative, is like a signal you're broadcasting to the universe. The universe responds to that signal without judgment, simply reflecting it back in a way that matches the energy you're putting out. So, here's your takeaway. Start paying attention to how you feel. When you're aware of your emotions, you gain the power to shift your energy and create a different reality. Remember, the universe doesn't decide for you. It mirrors what you decide to feel. That's the foundation of the first M, Magnify. And it's critical that you understand it because this is something you cannot escape. Now I want you to take an analytical approach to how your reality works. Observe it like a science experiment. Why? Because this isn't just about feeling good or hearing empty words like love and light or grand rising beloved. This is practical knowledge. This is spiritual science, and it's something you can apply to your life in real, tangible ways. To truly understand this, we need to reverse engineer what's happening in your life. What does that mean? It means we take the conditions and experiences you're facing right now and trace them back to their origin, your inner state. Here's the thing. However you feel inside is what the world will reflect back to you. The universe will magnify your inner emotions through people, conditions, circumstances, and events. For example, if it feels like the world is constantly trying to push your buttons, it's because there's already a part of you that's triggered internally. That feeling inside you gets mirrored and magnified by the universe. Or maybe you feel like the world is mocking you, like everything around you is playing some cruel joke. Guess what? That's a reflection of the way you've been treating yourself deep down, even if you don't realize it. The challenge is that so much of this happens on a subconscious level. You've been carrying these internal patterns for so long that they've faded into the background of your mind. But your subconscious, which is the creative center of your reality, never stops working. It continuously gives birth to the conditions you experience in your life. What I need you to do is simple but profound. Use your reality as a mirror. Look at your life, the people, the situations, the patterns, and see them for what they are. Reflections of what's happening inside you. If you feel like the world is against you, it's because on some level, you're against yourself. If you feel like things keep falling apart, it's because you're carrying a state of disharmony within. The external world is just amplifying what's already there. Here's a truth you need to write down. The world can't do anything to you that you haven't already done to yourself. That's the key. Another truth to remember. You'll never experience anything outside yourself that you haven't already created inside yourself. Now, let's take this a step further. When the universe mirrors your inner state, it doesn't stop at a gentle reflection. It turns the intensity up. If you're in a state of stress, annoyance, or disharmony, the universe will magnify that energy until it feels overwhelming. It's like the volume keeps getting louder and louder, forcing you to pay attention. Why does the universe do this? Why does it feel like life is piling on when you're already down? We've all asked, why me, at some point. But the answer is simple. The universe is giving you a chance to see what's inside you, to recognize the patterns that need to change, and to shift your energy. It's not punishment, it's reflection. It's an opportunity. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Pay attention to the patterns in your life. The universe isn't working against you. It's showing you the truth about yourself. When you start seeing your reality as a reflection, you gain the power to change it. And once you change what's inside, the outside world will shift naturally. That's the power of magnification, the first M of the universe. Now, I'm not talking about sitting in the sun eating fruit or walking barefoot on grass, even though that's nice. What I'm talking about is frequency, not the way people often dress it up to be, but what it truly means. Frequency is your unique energy signature, a vibration that keeps repeating over and over, shaping how you see and experience reality. It's a level of awareness, not just some abstract concept or archetype. Now we all ask at some point, why is the universe doing this to me? Why does it keep magnifying my struggles and making me feel stuck? Hold on, let me explain. Here's the thing. The universe doesn't hate you. It's not out to get you. What it wants is one thing, and it's the same thing every time. Let me make this clear. It wants emotion. That's it. Emotion is what drives everything. Why emotion? Because emotion is the language of creation, the language of what some call God. More importantly, emotion is the most powerful energy source in existence. The universe runs on energy, and emotion is its fuel. When you're feeling something deeply, whether it's joy, anger, sadness, or frustration, that energy gets amplified. And the universe? It's a system that collects and uses that energy. Now, you might wonder, why would the universe want my energy? Why would it turn things up to make me feel like I'm at my breaking point? Well, think of it this way. Emotion isn't just energy, it's energy in motion. And when energy moves, it creates momentum. That momentum builds up, like stacking layers or earning compound interest. The universe takes all that momentum and uses it as its fuel source. So no, the universe isn't punishing you, and it's not out to get you. It's just the way the system works. There's no malice in it. There's no morality, no right or wrong. It's not personal. The universe isn't emotional like we are. It simply operates by laws, and emotion is one of its most powerful forces. Let's use a simple example. Electricity. Electricity has been around forever, but humans only figured out how to harness it in recent centuries. Now, electricity doesn't care if you're kind-hearted or mean-spirited. If you misuse it, it'll shock you, plain and simple. It's not about whether you're a good or bad person. It's about how you interact with that energy. The same principle applies to the universe and your emotions. If you don't understand how your inner energy works and how it interacts with the larger system, you will feel like life is happening to you instead of through you. This is why things might seem unfair sometimes. You have probably seen good people go through hard times and wondered why. It's not because they deserve it. It's because they're unaware of how their inner energy operates. The universe isn't judging, it's reflecting. It magnifies what's already there, turning up the intensity to get you to pay attention. So, what do? You have to start seeing your emotions as your power source, a tool you can use, not something that controls you. Detach from the idea that the universe is against you and instead start asking, what is this trying to show me about myself? Your emotions are the key to understanding what's happening inside you. And once you get that, you can shift how you interact with the world. Here's the takeaway. The universe magnifies your emotions because that's how it collects energy. But it's also how it communicates with you. It's a mirror showing you where you're at internally. If you feel stuck, stressed, or frustrated, it's a sign that there's something inside you that needs to shift. And once you learn to work with your emotions instead of letting them run the show, you'll start to see that the universe isn't your enemy. It's a system that amplifies whatever you bring to the table. Write that down. That's the real lesson here. Have you ever had one of those days where you just feel completely drained, like you've got absolutely nothing left to give? Maybe everything seems to be going wrong, and no matter what you do, it just keeps piling on. That empty, exhausted feeling comes when the universe has pushed you to your limits, turning up that bad energy again and again, like it's testing how much you can take. It's relentless, almost like it wants to pull as much energy from you as possible to fuel its system. But here's the truth. It's not personal, and it's not about hate. The universe isn't targeting you out of malice. It's just how it works. That's the system, plain and simple. Now, let's talk about the second M of the universe. But before we get into that, let's review the first M. What's the first M? Right, it's magnification. The universe magnifies your emotions, your energy, and how you feel. Everything starts with how you're vibrating emotionally, because your feelings are the biggest part of your frequency. Your frequency is like the product code for the life you experience, your reality. If you want a different reality, you've got to shift your frequency. The way you feel is the strongest signal you send out, and the universe simply reflects that signal back to you by magnifying it. For example, if you're feeling stressed, the universe will send people, situations, and circumstances into your life to make you feel even more stressed. If you're at peace, it will do the same thing. It will find people and events that amplify that peaceful energy. And if you're irritated, the universe will use the same process to make you feel even more annoyed. It works like a mirror, reflecting and magnifying the energy you're giving off. The universe uses every aspect of your reality, people, conditions, events, even random circumstances, to keep building up that emotional energy you're already feeling. It seems perfectly timed and almost too precise to be random, doesn't it? That's because it's not. The universe is designed to keep turning up your emotions, but not to hurt you. It's doing this because your emotions are the most powerful form of energy, and the system relies on them. Now, don't get caught up in the idea of this being negative. Negativity is just a concept we've created in this physical, third-dimensional realm. On a higher level, there's no such thing as good or bad. There's no duality, only oneness. In quantum mechanics, they call this quantum entanglement. It's the idea that two particles, no matter how far apart they are in the universe, are always connected. When you affect one, you affect the other instantly. You've probably felt this in your own life. Ever been thinking about someone, and then they suddenly call or text you? Or maybe you message someone, and they say, "Wow, I was just thinking about you." Or how about when you and someone else say the exact same thing at the same time? That's quantum entanglement at work. On a deeper metaphysical level, everything is interconnected. The second M of the universe is maintain. Yes, that's the second M, maintain. Here's what that means. After the universe has intensified your emotional state and matched it with a frequency, it starts feeding off that energy. Once it has locked onto that frequency, it works hard to keep you there. It wants to maintain your state of being by using everything around you, people, events, circumstances, to keep you feeling the same way over and over. Now, why does it do this? Stay with me. You're about to get clarity. The universe wants to maintain this state for the sake of what I call energetic equilibrium. What's energetic equilibrium? Simply put, it's balance. The universe is a system, and like any system, it prefers ease and convenience. Balance makes things easier to manage, so the universe works to keep things aligned with the signals you're consistently sending out. Here's the key. The universe doesn't judge your energy as good or bad, positive or negative. It doesn't care about morality or emotion the way we humans do. To the universe, it's all just energy, neutral in its essence. So, this process of maintaining your state can work for you or against you. It all depends on the emotional signals you're sending. When you send out a new signal to the universe, a consistent emotional state, it starts building momentum. That momentum leads to the first M, which is Magnify. The universe takes your signal, magnifies it, and then works to maintain it because it's convenient. Maintaining that energy saves the system effort. It's easier than constantly adapting to new signals. But here's where things get tricky. If you're stuck in a negative emotional state, the universe will maintain that state by creating situations that reinforce it. Let me give you an example. Imagine you wake up and things start off fine. Then something small goes wrong. Maybe you burn your shirt while ironing, or you drop a glass and it shatters. Now you're feeling frustrated or upset. That's the emotional state you're in. As you move through your day, the universe begins to magnify and maintain that state. You head out, and suddenly, everything feels off. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Every light turns red just as you approach. These little things pile on, and you're thinking, what is going on today? Why does everything feel so messed up? That frustration keeps building. When you finally get to work or meet up with someone, they say something that triggers you. Maybe they're in a bad mood, or they say something that rubs you the wrong way. Now you're even more upset. And by the end of the day, you're emotionally drained. You feel like the universe has just taken everything out of you. What's happening here is a loop. The universe has locked onto your emotional state, magnified it, and then maintained it by using random events and interactions to keep you in that same state. And because you're unaware of what's going on, the cycle just repeats. Day after day, the same emotions, the same triggers, the same energy drain. The truth is, most of us stay in these loops because we don't realize what's happening. But the fact that you're even learning about this shows you've reached a higher level of awareness. You wouldn't be here, reading this, if you weren't on the same frequency as this knowledge. The good news is, once you're aware of the cycle, you can begin to break it. But first, you need to recognize how the universe magnifies and maintains your energy, and why. Only then can you start to shift your frequency and create a new reality for yourself. Here's the thing. What I mean by this isn't like those flashy YouTube titles that say, you're only seeing this video because you're on the right frequency. Sure, algorithms work like that, but I'm speaking on a deeper, literal level here. You wouldn't be reading or hearing this unless our frequencies were aligned. That means you've reached a new level of awareness. It also means you're operating at a new signal point. But let me ask you, how long are you going to let momentum build up? And how are you planning to maintain it? Because here's the deal. The moment you step into a particular state, whether it's an emotional state or the state of your desired reality, the universe responds accordingly. And yes, this applies to the reality you want to create for yourself too. Now, let's talk about your desired reality. I've mentioned this in so many audiobooks, but let's break it down again little because it's important. When you align your identity, your emotionally charged thoughts, your beliefs, your deep conviction, and your focus with the reality you want, the universe starts to magnify it. Over time, it will reach a point where it maintains that state for you. That's when your once desired reality becomes your normal. But here's the catch. To bring that reality into your life, you have to make it feel normal now. You have to take it off the pedestal. Let me explain with a simple example. Imagine you just got a new pair of shoes. Maybe you're super excited about them at first, but after a while, once you've worn them enough, they become just another pair of shoes. You don't think much about them anymore. That's because they've become normal to you. The same thing applies to your desired reality. If you keep seeing it as something far off, like something in a store window that you're admiring but can't touch, you'll never close that gap. The universe won't deliver what feels out of reach. But when you start seeing your dream as something normal, as part of your everyday life, that energetic gap disappears. Think of it like collapsing the gap of importance. Until your desired reality feels as normal as those worn-out shoes, it'll stay in the shop window. You can't grab it unless you energetically align with it, treating it like it's already yours. Now that we've covered the 2 M's of the universe, magnify and maintain, let's talk about breaking the cycle. This is key because once you're aware of how the universe works, you can begin to shift out of the loops that keep you stuck. And honestly, everything I've been sharing with you has been a form of subconscious reprogramming. You may not have realized it at first, but now that I've said it outright, you can connect the dots. Breaking the cycle starts with understanding how it begins. That means identifying the chain of events that pull you into these patterns. So, what's the first thing the universe magnifies? Your emotional state. Think of it like this. When a certain emotional state is repeated, especially when it's charged with strong feelings, it gets magnified. Over time, as it gains momentum, the universe begins to maintain it. And this maintenance is what makes you feel stuck in the same loop, experiencing the same situations or feelings over and over again. But recognizing this process is the first step to breaking free. Once you see how the cycle starts, you can begin to shift your emotional state and, in turn, change what the universe magnifies and maintains in your life. That's where true transformation begins. If you ever feel like you're stuck in a loop, a cycle that keeps repeating itself, you need to break it by working backward. This means understanding how the loop begins, identifying the chain of events, and making changes to the energy or vibrations that start the process. So, what's the first thing you'd need to change to break that cycle? The answer: your emotional state. Everything starts with your emotional state. Think of it this way. If you're in a certain emotional state now and you want to shift into something better, you have to create a new emotional state. Once that new state gains momentum, meaning you hold on to it and let it grow, it will get magnified by the universe. Over time, the universe will maintain that new state, and voila! You'll find yourself in a new, positive loop. This is how you enter the cycle of your desired reality. So the big question is, How do you change your emotional state? But first, I'm a fan of keeping things simple. As Leonardo da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I agree 100%. Instead of overloading you with complicated methods, I'm going to break it down into something you can use right now. But don't take this simplicity for granted, because where else are you getting this kind of insight? Especially in a way that's straightforward and actionable. All right, let's answer the million-dollar question. How do you change your emotional state? If you can change how you feel, you'll change what the universe magnifies. When you do that, you'll also change what the universe maintains. And once the universe maintains your new state, your desired reality will feel like your normal reality. Here's the thing. To truly change your emotional state, you need to work on your subconscious mind. Why? Because your subconscious mind is the driving force behind your emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. And how is the subconscious mind programmed? A lot of people in the manifestation world will tell you it's through repetition, doing or saying something over and over again. While repetition can work, it's kind of like using a brute force method in computer science. It's slow, tedious, and not the most efficient way to get results. Instead, let's simplify it. The language of the subconscious mind is emotion. That's it. Emotion is the key to reprogramming your subconscious. Think about it. Someone only needs to experience one deeply emotional event, like a traumatic experience, for their entire worldview to change. That's because intense emotions, whether positive or negative, leave a lasting impact on the subconscious. Now, while trauma is an example of intense negative emotion, the same principle applies to positive emotions. Just like extreme negativity can alter your subconscious in a powerful way, so can deeply positive experiences. It's all about the intensity of the emotion and how it connects with your mind. If we're looking to create a strong emotional experience, something deep and powerful, it can significantly impact our reality. Let me pause for a second here. The board is too wet. Let me switch to a different color. Green works perfectly. So the idea is this. If you can generate a powerful emotional charge that connects to your desired reality, it will shift your emotional state. That shift gets amplified and sustained, aligning you more closely with the reality you want. Now, you might wonder, how do I create that emotional charge? This is important because when you can build a strong emotional charge, it naturally changes your emotional state. Once your state changes, the universe tends to amplify and sustain that energy. This is key to understanding the real meaning of manifestation. So, what exactly is an emotional charge, and how do you create it? It's something you generate from within yourself. Here's what I mean. I've said this many times before. Methods or techniques are just tools or vehicles. They don't work on their own. What makes them effective is the emotional energy and belief you pour into them. That's the driving force behind their success. Without that belief, no technique will work. It's not the method itself. It's your conviction and belief in it that activates its power. Keep this in mind. What truly matters is not so much what you do, but how much you believe that what you're doing will work. That belief is far more powerful than any specific technique you can imagine. For example, when I was younger and caught the flu, my mum would tell me to heat up some lemonade and drink it, saying it would make me feel better. Honestly, that doesn't make any sense. Fizzy lemonade curing the flu. But it worked because, at that moment, My subconscious mind accepted it as true, and my body responded accordingly. This shows that even remedies or methods that seem illogical can work if your subconscious mind believes in them. Your subconscious doesn't question. It simply accepts what it perceives as truth. And in terms of manifestation, your reality is shaped by what your subconscious mind believes to be true. To create an emotional charge, you need to experience it deeply within yourself. This means feeling it so vividly and intensely that you no longer feel any longing for it. It already feels real to you. Here's an example to make it clearer. Let's say you have a dream or goal you're visualizing. The key isn't just to imagine it as a picture in your mind. It's about truly experiencing it as if it's happening right now. In the physical world, we engage with our reality through our 5 senses. When you visualize, try to activate those same senses in your imagination. The closer you get to triggering those senses in your mind, the more your brain believes it's real. Here's the fascinating part. Your mind doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. If you can make it feel real enough in your mind, your subconscious accepts it as truth. Here's how to practice this. Instead of visualizing something huge or overwhelming, keep it simple. Choose a small specific scene that represents your dream as if it has already happened. For example, imagine a moment that clearly shows your goal has already been achieved. Picture it in the past tense, something you've already experienced. The more you engage your senses and emotions in this way, the more you can convince your subconscious that your desired reality is already yours. Once you do this, the universe will align with that belief and help you manifest it in your life. For me, it's as simple as imagining being congratulated by the people I love. Nothing more, nothing less. In my mind, I see them celebrating my success, hugging me and showing me their love. I feel their hugs as if they're real. I see the happiness on their faces and feel their joy for me so deeply that, during my visualizations, I've even cried tears of joy. And here's the surprising part. I don't normally cry. It's not something I do easily. But in those moments, the experience felt so real to my mind and body that it brought me to tears. That's how powerful this process can be. You can apply this same idea to any goal or dream you have. The key isn't just to picture what you want, it's to truly experience it. Feel it so vividly and deeply that you actually live the emotions you'd feel if it were already your reality. These emotions are the foundation for creating the energy or emotional charge that aligns you with your desired reality. You're not just imagining, you're generating the emotional charge, and this is something you can build and strengthen with practice. As you keep creating and intensifying this emotional charge, it eventually grows strong enough to replace the emotional attachments you have to negative beliefs or doubts. Think of it like this. Some people say you need to reprogram your subconscious mind, but it's not about reprogramming. It's about replacing the emotional energy tied to those limiting beliefs. The more positive and powerful emotional charge you generate, the less space there is for those negative feelings. Over time, the old emotional patterns fade away, making room for the new ones you want to bring into your life. Here's the truth. Before the world can give you what you want, you have to give it to yourself first. What does that mean? It means experiencing your desired reality so deeply within yourself that you no longer depend on seeing it in the outer world to feel satisfied. If I were to ask you right now, if I gave you everything you wanted, would you feel completely amazing? what would your honest answer be? If you said yes, then that's why you haven't received it yet. That answer tells the universe you're still waiting for the external world to validate your desires. It shows you haven't truly given it to yourself yet. If not having your dream bothers you, then you haven't experienced it deeply enough within to feel fulfilled. Here's the secret to manifestation. It's about changing internally so much that you no longer feel emotionally dependent on seeing your reality change. When you reach this level, your mind starts to believe, we already have this. And that's when the universe aligns with you and reflects it back to you. The universe responds to what you already feel you have, not what you're still longing for. Whatever technique you choose to use, visualization, affirmations, or something else, the key is to fully experience your desired reality as if it's happening right now. Feel the emotions so deeply that your mind and body believe it's real. What you see as the end goal is actually where you begin. Feeling those emotions is the starting point, the foundation you build upon. When you generate this emotional state within yourself, those emotions act like a frequency. That frequency connects you to your desired reality and brings it closer to you. By aligning with the emotions of your dream, you make it part of your present experience. And from there, it starts to manifest in your outer world. This is the true process of creation. Thank you for listening.